Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with the highlights video from manufacturers at Bathurst and a race at Tsukuba with a possibility of weather turning up. So first of all, we've got our qualifying session from Bathurst in the Group 4 race in the manufacturers. Now this combination was a little bit BOP strange. Now I'm sure that the BOP will get sorted in this game. BOP, for those that don't know, is balance of performance. It makes the cars as equal over a lap as possible, and at the moment it's not very equal. So the Mazda and the Subaru and the BMW seem to be in a little bit of a league of their own. They're almost in Group 3.5, and the McLaren wasn't terrible though. It was just not fast enough to keep up with them cars. So we're in qualifying here. We've done a 13.2 so far. I did know this car could get into the a 12.8 to 12.5 if you get a good lap. However, we've not done the best first sector. You saw the Scirocco get out, mess up turn one, kind of put me off a little bit. So the lap was just about just seeing if we could improve slightly. So working our way to the top of the hill, you can see I do really love Bathurst on this game. It does feel a little bit better in my view. I don't know what's changed, but it just feels a little bit more authentic, especially at the top of the hill with taking some of these corners. The downhill section in the McLaren, pretty drivable through here. The main area that the McLaren was losing out to the cars that we mentioned before was on top speed. Them cars were incredibly fast on the straights. The reason we're short shifting the McLaren is because I believe, as with GT Sport, this car loses pace when you rev it out. I think you might rev it out slightly more than you did on GT Sport. I found that revving it to about 60-70% seemed to give me optimal acceleration, so maybe some difference there. You can see the dynamic skies working on GT7, looking absolutely stunning on this game. It's obviously making a real big difference to the visuals. We said this ages ago, it makes such a big difference, and I think that's true. It is really a nice feature to have in GT7 with the dynamic weather. But we're finishing this lap. We're on a pretty okay lap. We're not probably going to improve. You can see that P6 is around 3-4 attempts ahead of us. This lap is just about maybe securing P7 at the start of the race. So going through the final corner, doing that reasonably okay. Could have been a bit better, but we go over the line with a slightly improved lap of 2 minutes 13.1. But that's going to start us in P7 ahead of a Mazda though. Sorry, actually we dropped down to P8 as I think another Subaru manages to jump ahead of us. So we end up starting this race in P8. You can see in front of us we just have a field of Mazdas, BMWs and Subarus, because these cars are incredibly overpowered around this track. There's not really much you can do to compete with them. They're in a different league. You can see BMW, I think that's an Evo as well. So again, four-wheel drive just seems very dominant. Then we got ourselves the first non-four-wheel drive or BMW driver, and then we got another Mazda behind us there, and then another four-wheel drive car. So again, it does seem to be aiming towards the four-wheel drive cars. The BMW sitting in there as well as a very good car. But we'll take the start that we've got in this. It's not a bad start. Our car isn't the worst Group 4 car, I will say that. There is worse Group 4 cars than the McLaren, a lot worse. I think the BOP at the moment is around, at this track, there's probably 3 seconds difference between cars, which is too much. But I do think with this being a test season, this is what it's there for. They will get these issues sorted, hopefully with a big BOP hit to the four-wheel drive cars, because they're already very good over a lap anyway at most tracks, so they need to get a BOP change. So starting the race, let's see what we can do. Can we stay anywhere near the cars in front? We're going to have to drive quite aggressive to stay anywhere near these cars, because they've obviously got quite a big pace advantage. So again, as with the previous manufacturer race, this race is a very short race. It's a 4-lap race. It's all about just testing these servers out, and I have to say these servers are not in the best condition at the moment. But again, let's hope that after a few patches they're going to get these servers up to scratch. Possibly the reason for the server issues is because PS4 and PS5 players are racing together in these races. However, in daily races they're not, so it could be something related to that. But through the corner here, we're going to push on, see if we can stay in that slipstream. You can see it's almost impossible to stay with the Subaru on acceleration in the uphill section, but we're going to do our best to try and make up positions. There's probably going to be some battling. You never know what could happen in these races as we work our way up the top of the hill as the sunset is going down, and you can see it's turning into nighttime. So stunning visually. We've got the Mazda behind us that's going to be extremely OP. That car is probably over a second a lap, well over a second a lap quicker than the McLaren, so it's going to be very difficult to keep that car behind, but we're going to try our best to hold on to P7 if possible. So working our way on the downhill section, you can see here, just trying to get as close to the walls as possible. A little bit sketchy on the downhill section there. It's definitely a little bit more sketchy than it was on GT Sport in Group 4. Group 4 was very stable. These cars are a little bit looser, but in general still pretty similar in terms of the way you drive it. Into the final corner, again, just as you do on GT Sport, holding it tight to the wall on the left and getting on the power nice and early. And we've actually got into the slipstream of the Subaru in front, so we're actually doing quite well at the moment to stay with that Subaru, and actually we're going to get a really nice slipstream. So one thing I have noticed is that the McLaren slipstreams really well off the Subaru, because look at the gains we get on this straight here. It's an incredible amount of gains. And yeah, that shows you that the slipstream working very well for the McLaren behind the Subaru. Now, we have a theory that some cars slipstream better from some cars because the way the aerodynamics work on this game. It's not 100% sure, but it does seem that it depends what car you're getting a slipstream off. So that could be something to do with the physics in GT7. And it wouldn't surprise me of how in-depth they've gone with this game, because there's a lot of features that are evident in this game. So now we're approaching P5. We've got the Evo in front of us. Let's see what we can do. Can we even stay anywhere near this? Again, it's another car pretty similar to the Subaru. It's going to be very strong and very hard to stay with. So working away on the uphill section again, this is where we have a lot of trouble. You can see in our mirror we have got the slipstream to P5, so we're going to have that benefit of getting a nice slipstream in the McLaren. And the McLaren does seem pretty strong in the slipstream. However, just look at the Mazda behind us getting closer and closer and closer. Luckily not in a position to go for a move into this corner, but again through here the four-wheel drive cars are so strong through the corners. He's going to get a real nice pull up this hill, and again he's getting closer and closer, but not really in a position to go for an overtake. You can see he's a little bit too far back, and then as we go into the turning point, he just goes for a random lunge, not really in a position to go for that. Clips us, nearly spins us, and decides to go for a move around the outside. Now we hold our line, giving him space on the left, and he just drives himself straight into the wall on the left. I think it was just a bit of a silly move to go for, but it's a test season, it's a bit of fun. And we watch the replay here and you'll see what I mean. I think we were safe enough into the braking zone. He just tried to squeeze into a gap that really wasn't there. He wasn't in a position to go for that. Had none of the car alongside really. And then again here, he just runs himself off the track trying to go around the outside. Going around the outside there is just never going to work. We gave him the space on the exit as well, just in case he did make it work. But yeah, we managed to hold on to that position and keep P6 in this race. So we've got Poc behind us, and let's see what happens here now. We've got that Subaru that seems to be struggling for pace considering how fast the Subaru is. We've seen the Subarus at the front of the field absolutely flying, and we're in the McLaren and we're holding off the Subaru, so we're doing quite a good job at the moment. We're up a position from where we started, 2 positions from where we started. We started in P8 and we're now up 2 positions, so I'm not sure if something's happened with I'm not sure where we passed the Subaru, but I'm not sure where we passed another car in this race so far. Working our way down the hill, and you can see the difference on acceleration. Look at the way that the top group of cars pull away from us on that straight. They gain 3 or 4 tenths just in a very short amount of time. And there's, like I say, the McLaren is not the slowest car. McLaren is actually pretty fast on the straights compared to some cars. So I can only imagine the difference between something like the Megane versus the Subaru or the Mazda on the straight. It could be quite funny. But yeah, looking again at the visuals, absolutely stunning lighting going on GT7 with the new lighting effects, with it going into night time. I don't think there's a game that looks this good out there. I think you'd have to agree. It looks absolutely amazing. But pushing the limits here, you can see we're absolutely trying to stay ahead of that Subaru. We're doing everything we can to try and keep our car ahead and in the position we're in now. So yeah, lap 3. This lap was all about just pushing. No real action on this one. You can see we managed to stay ahead of the Subaru. And we managed to get a reasonably good lap in there. We skipped ahead to the final lap now. We did a 2:14.0 in the McLaren with the race with the fuel on, which wasn't actually that bad. As you can see, we actually pulled away from the Subaru and got a bit of a gap going, but we couldn't really catch up to the car in front. You can see that P5 was just too far in front of us. However, the lead group were having quite a little bit of a battle at this stage. So we're going to fast forward as we work our way through the top of the hill and on the downhill section and onto the back straight. And you're going to see as we come down here, you can see we seem to have we got a view of another car in front of us, but you can see that Evo is just too far ahead. However, as we come to the final part of the lap, we notice the yellow flags are out as we come down here. You're going to see yellow flags being waved, and we see a car right in the barrier up there, and we're going to get a nice free position off Haku here. As we come onto the straight, we're going to out-drag him because we've obviously got that exit speed, and we're going to go over the line in P5, so a little bit of a position gain and up into P5, and we actually picked up over 320 points from that race. So let's have a little look at what happened there. And as we come through here, we see that Haku is battling for the lead at this stage, and then as he comes through the downhill section, he does it really well. However, P1 messes up. You can see he hits the wall and pinballs off Haku and just causes Haku to lose so much time. So Haku at this stage is obviously very frustrated. However, on the downhill section, we're running with the car behind Haku, Aishumi, and I think this was a little bit naughty. You can see that Haku kind of blocks him, so he goes to the left and he just kind of just pushes him off the track. A little bit naughty that. But then Aishumi is going to go for a little bit of a move up the inside. He's clearly not happy because he's flashing his lights at him. So I wonder if he's going to go for a move up the inside. And he goes for a nice little send up the inside. A little bit aggressive again. Probably was never going to work. Didn't really have enough of the car up the inside. And I don't think Haku was too happy with that one either. Well, I'm not too sure, but we see him weaving around. And then we see Aishumi. I don't know if he misses his braking or it's deliberate, but he absolutely sends Haku off the track and into the barrier. But one thing, crashes now look a lot better. One thing I really do like on this game is how much better the crashes look, because the cars don't ghost. So you can actually get good screenshots of these cars crashing off and stuff like that. So you see again from the onboard footage, absolutely sent to the shadow realm, and Haku is into the barrier there. And we're going to watch it from the replay camera. As we come into the corner, you can see the weaving around, then I think he just misses his braking, and boom, straight off the track and into the barrier. So not very nice for Haku, but that gave us a free position at the end, and we're up into P5. So we got some reasonable points from that. I think we ended up with 326 points, and that puts us 11th in the manufacturer series, which isn't bad considering we're in the McLaren. So yeah, not a bad start to the season so far in these very short races, although this is just a test season. I don't think there's much to go with for this one. But next race, we've got the Nations race at Tsukuba, and it's a rolling start this time with 7 laps. So a little bit of a strange one. Now, there's some weird stuff in this race in terms of cars that have got performance parts. We're trying to figure out what way is best to do this, and apparently you can use a shifter, which makes you faster as well. So on GT Sport, the shifter was not, there was no advantage of using the shifter because they made it so it was equal for everyone. However, in this game at the moment, I believe some people are using the shifter. You can see it in the gear changes, and they're gaining a lot of time on the straights. So yeah, in this race, we have a bit of a variable in the fact that it can rain. You can see I've got the weather radar up there because we need to see the rain coming in, and it can add a variable into the race. So let's see how it goes. We've only got 7 laps to do this race though, so we're starting from P7. We managed to get an okay qualifying in, and this race wasn't that popular, I have to say. It seems that people, with the differences with the way you can put like ceramic brakes on, we think you can put an LSD on the drivetrain to help with coming out of the corners. There's too many random stuff that people don't know about this race, and I think a lot of people are just avoiding it. But I just wanted to do it because it could possibly rain. We didn't know whether it was, there was a chance of rain. You can see it in the sky. It's very cloudy. We've got that weather radar. We've got it set at the furthest away point so that we can see when the rain's actually going to be coming in from quite far away. But start of the race, you can see it would have been better if it was a standing start. I think this one again, because they're obviously testing out different stuff, because the first one I did in this race was a standing start at the start of the week, I think it was, but now this is a rolling start. So they're obviously just trying to test all different circumstances out at the moment. Very short races just to get as much tested out as possible. When it comes to the proper season, these races will be much longer. And you can see there on the straight, as we look in the track map, you can just see what I mean by the rolling start. Pretty much the whole of the straight is a field spread, so it could have been so much better with a standing start, but I understand why they've done what they've done. They need to get these things tested. They need to see what's going on. One thing I really hope they get sorted is the rolling starts anyway. They need to be 2x2 or a lot closer together to make the action a little bit better. At the moment, the field spread is just so far. It's just like GT Sport. Now, most people will know we talked about this for years on GT Sport. Everyone talked about it. It wasn't just myself. So many people out there wanted them to fix the rolling starts, and at the moment they haven't done it. Let's keep our fingers crossed that they have got it sorted. They just have not implemented it yet. So that's the only hope we can have. So fast forwarding on the lap here now as we get a little bit closer to P3, and again, we were quite slow at some parts of the track, but as soon as we got through to turn 1 and this corner here, which is a braking and some of the handling section, we managed to get quite close to P6 and got right behind me. You see P6 very close to P5 as well. We had quite a comfortable gap to P8. We weren't really being put under pressure by Treviso. We were able to hold him around 1 second, but as soon as we got close to these, we just couldn't really find a way past, because this track is so difficult to actually do an overtake on, especially in these cars, because they've not got that much grip in the braking zone, so you've got to hit them braking points properly. The car is a little bit sketchy if you go too aggressive, so it was all about just trying to be as smooth as we can. As we look on the weather radar, and we can see that there is a few showers appearing, and I do love this. This is going to make such a difference to races in the future if we have some races that are like 35 minutes long, 40 minutes long in the GT World Series. Can you imagine that it starts looking like it's going to rain with like 6 laps to go, and it's a heavy downpour? Do you pit? Do you stay out? There's going to be a lot of options available, and I cannot wait to see the drama that is going to be happening on this game. I do think that in a couple of months, Gran Turismo 7 is going to be in a place where it's just unmatched in terms of the online racing. You just got to be patient with it at the moment. They've got to sort out the servers. Some of the issues we had on GT Sport as well, that they'll get sorted out hopefully, and this game could end up being an extremely exciting future, especially with it developing into a live service. Now, some people won't like the sound of a live service, but what it will mean is a lot of content, a lot of additions to the game, and it should be free DLC. As far as I know, the tracks and cars are going to be free, and then DLC for single player. They might add in some like Lewis Hamilton DLC like they did with GT Sport, which we'll pay for, but I don't mind that approach. I think it's better. It keeps everyone racing in the same group. You're not going to have people that have got, you know, a track that someone else hasn't got, so they can't race. It's a good way to go about it, and I think the future should be very positive for the game. But you can see now the weather is starting to build up. We've actually got a bit of water on the track. You can see it on the telemetry. You can see next to the tyres that there is a bit of water on the track, but it's only on that section there. It's a little bit drier here, so there's no water through this section, so it's only rained on one part of the track, and it's cleared up now. But there is a lot of showers. You can see so many showers on the weather radar. It's just that we got very lucky with this race again. We didn't really hit any major showers. I did see in some other splits throughout different regions, they had torrential downpours in some of their races, and it was absolutely chaos, and I was kind of hoping for that. At this stage, I wanted it to rain really bad, because I was thinking if it rains really bad, you don't know what could happen. We could lose out, but so could the two cars in front, and we could have a little bit of chaos. But this is what I do like, though, about the randomness of the weather and how it's very dynamic. It's not preset. It's not going to be the same every time. It's going to be developing as the clouds develop, and that's when, you know, it's a good thing, because no one can just predict what the weather's going to do. You've got to keep that radar on in these endurance races, and it's going to make endurance racing a little bit more enjoyable. It's just a shame that we couldn't do bigger lobbies in our own custom lobbies, because I think 16 players for when we do like league racing, if we do any, could be a little bit short. But I will be looking into doing some league racing, I think, on this game, and it could be quite enjoyable. So going into the penultimate, the end of lap 6 now, and about to start the final lap. So we're going to fast forward the action here. You can see that the track has pretty much completely dried out now. It was only a little bit of a shower on that section of track, and it's completely dry now. So P6 going a little bit wide again. He's going to have a little bit of loss of grip through there. Every time you run wide through that corner, you do lose a little bit of grip, and we can see we're getting very close at this stage. We're only a few tenths behind him, so we're going to try and stay as close as we can, just in case there's an opportunity to grab P6 from this race. So again, through here, it seems a little bit stronger on the brakes compared to P6. He seems to go in and get a little bit of a drift going, and that gives us to be able to be on the throttle just a little bit earlier than what he can. So again, under the Dunlop bridge there, and keeping the power down, and we get quite a nice run off him here, and we're around 2 tenths behind. Now, I was tempted to send it up the inside, but I felt we were too far back, so I decided maybe try and go for a wider line and try and get a better exit. But he does very clever driving, keeps it on the apex, slows down, and we end up bump drafting him. That is perfectly acceptable driving by him. Very clever driving. That's what you do. If you're on the apex, hold the apex, get on the power when you're ready, and you get the better exit. So good driving by P6. He holds on to that. We try and go through this corner really tight and take a lot of speed. We get a drift going. Luckily, we managed to save it and hold on to P7. So that was our first attempt at the race, and the points were very low. I think they were only like 330 or 340 for the win or something like that. It wasn't particularly high. So next attempt up, we went again. Now, we went up in slot 2. Slot 3. First race was slot 2. Didn't try slot 1. Slot 3, we got black screen for 20 minutes. This is an issue that they need to get sorted. This was slot 4, and the points were not particularly high, but we've got top split drivers in here. You can see them in front of us. So we've got fast drivers in here. But let's see what we can do as we go to start this race. Now, this race, you can see at the moment there's no clouds. Well, there's clouds, but there's no rain clouds on the radar at all. So at the moment, it looks like it's going to be dry. Now, it started the previous race like this as well, so it could change at any time. But you can see in this one, again, that rolling start causing a massive field spread. You can see there's just too many gaps everywhere, and this is why I think Either get a better rolling start system or do a standing start. It would have made this race a lot more entertaining, but it's all because they're testing stuff out. And yeah, one thing I hope they take from it is fix the rolling starts, because it's not the most enjoyable at the moment. You're getting field spreads of like 8 to 9 seconds from like 10 cars, 11 cars within a few laps or something. It's a little bit too much in my view, especially for a short race like this where it's only 7 laps. But at the moment you can see that we're starting to drop off from P5, and we did actually struggle to stay with him really. Pace was just not there. However, we did get a little bit of pressure from P7. You can see he's right behind us, but what I found was he was getting close to us, but every time we came into turn 1, we managed to build up enough of a cushion to be able to defend against him. So you can see again, we out of turn 1 we were getting better traction, and in this race we just had no rain clouds at all. You can see it's totally different every time, and this is what I like about it. It's unpredictable, and that's how it should be. You've got to keep an eye on that weather radar every now and then, and just make sure, you know, when you're on a straight, just see if there's any rain coming in. You can see there is a rain cloud just coming into the radar now, but it's going to probably hit too late if it does hit the track. You can see, or it could completely miss us the way it's going there. But again, it adds that little bit of element of you just don't know what's going to happen. You see the P7 very close into the braking, but we're going to do what we did, what the other car did to us, hold that apex, and again we just hold the apex, get on the power when we're ready, and we get the advantage all the way up the straight now. So again, holding it quite well through there, and we're going to go onto the final lap now. You can see onto lap 7 at the end, and you can see we managed to hold off the car behind. It was a pretty static race again, if I'm honest. There wasn't much going on, but we managed to get one position better up into P6, and I think this race might have been pretty similarly ranked to the previous one, so we actually gained our points, and I decided to take them now because we got a top 6. The race wasn't the most high ranked racing. With the disconnect issues, it just gets us some more points on there. So yeah, we come away with 260 points, which is not great, but it's better than nothing. So hope you enjoyed this video. It was just a quick update with regards to them 2 rounds that I streamed for people that missed it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you all very soon. Thanks again for watching, everyone.